Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we are going to be taking a look at the new Mirai Guardian MX. We're going to do a little bit of a tour around the outside and the inside. We're going to do a little bit of a combat test. We'll probably test it as well as possibly the F8 Lightning, maybe a couple of other heavy fighters if we have time for that, and see kind of how they compare and why you may want to pick one over the other. So let's go ahead and hop right in. And right before we get into it, I will remind you that I am running a giveaway for a Greycat MTC with LTI and the Special Concierge Moonstone paint. All you need to do is leave a comment on the video that I have linked in this video's description, and you will automatically be entered to win. We'll be doing the drawing for that during the finale of Invictus, so that'll be, I think, next week. That'll be happening. And then if you happen to win, you just need to be able to contact me via Discord, just so I can verify that you are who you say you are. But that's all you need to do for it. So if you want to be entered for that giveaway, just leave a comment on that video. So again, here we have the Guardian MX. This is, I guess you could call it a heavy fighter version of the base Guardian. It is actually significantly wider and taller than the regular Guardian. My biggest gripe with it really is just these landing gear. Like, they could, like on the base Guardian, the landing gear are so low on it. So I think they could definitely, like, they could lower it on this back area here. They could lower it a little bit, and that would help with its clearance for a couple of ships that either can barely fit it or can't fit it. Like the Idris, it can barely fit in the Idris. I think it fits in the 890, and it like is just a little too tall to fit in the Polaris. So literally, I think if they just drop the landing gear just a little bit, that would probably clear up most of those issues. And make it a good amount easier to land in those bigger ships. Because the big thing with the Guardian MX is you do get some extra firepower, you get some extra components, but you give up the habitation area that the base Guardian has, so you don't have a bed, a little kitchenette, bathroom, or anything, so you can't log out on this ship. So ideally, you know, this may not be the case right now where you could just go park at a station, but in the future you may want to have a ship you could go back to land in, like the Idris or the Polaris. Right now it's very difficult to do that, so I think there's just, you know, that's one little adjustment they could make, and that would probably make it more viable for being in those carrier ships. But let's go ahead, let's take a look at a couple of things on the outside here. So, big thing with the Guardian MX is we have 4 size 4 weapons mounted on the kind of inner part of the winglets here, compared to on the base Guardian you have 2 size 5s that are mounted on either side of the main body of the ship. That gives you, I think, roughly, I think, if I remember correctly, it's a little bit more firepower overall, like DPS wise, than the base Guardian, but the base Guardian still, of course, 2 size 5s, they hit pretty hard. So this is, you know, makes me think more like a TIE Interceptor, kind of that sort of vibe. Again, a little bit heavier combat oriented. It looks really cool. I really like how they kind of, I think they do move a little bit when you extend the wings, but kind of how they're retracted back in here does look pretty nice. Now, another thing that the MX has is this sort of armored cockpit here. There are actually some little gaps in between it, so it's not a perfectly sealed area, but this apparently will actually give some extra HP to the cockpit area itself, and potentially in the future with engineering or maelstrom, this would give some additional protection with that additional armor plating over the front of it. You can see pretty much the same. There's like some very minor little panels that come down on the inside, which we'll see in a few minutes here. But overall, visibility from what I've seen is still pretty good out of this. And then the other two main things is I was wondering, because of how much higher the lower winglets are, on the base Guardian you have a weapon locker and a storage area on those lower wings. But I was wondering if it's because it's higher, you don't have that, but apparently that is still there. So on this left winglet here, we do have a weapon locker on the outside. It's just, it's pushed a little bit further back in on the wing itself, and a little bit different design. But we do have, you know, your weapon lockers. You got 2 areas for some primary weapons, couple handgun, medgun, multi-tool slots. So really nice, just a little quality of life feature there. And then we do also have our personal storage locker on this side, We open that up, we have 450k micro SCU, so a decent amount of extra capacity for, you know, if you were to take this to bunkers or somewhere you're gathering loot, you can chuck a bunch of that stuff in the storage locker, and it's really convenient to get to from the outside here. It looks like we also have on the bottom here, next to the elevator, our fuel port access. Again, these are not currently functional, but pretty much every new ship comes with them, so that, you know, in the future when we have manual refueling at outposts or on ships or things, you'll be able to have that access point. So just nice to see that that's still there. And if we take a quick look at the back, of course, it looks, from the back, it looks mostly the same kind of body design. The engines are still the same, so nothing too different there. Again, you can notice the significantly larger and more armored winglets. So yeah. But now let's go ahead and we'll step inside. We'll take a brief look at the inside because there's not a ton to look at. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go fly it around for a few minutes. I'll give some thoughts on how I think it feels. We'll do a little bit of combat in it and see how that goes. So, as far as I can tell, this back little section here when you first come up the elevator is the exact same as it is in the Base Guardian. You have your quantum drive, another small weapon locker, suit locker, and then is this anything? Nope, that's not anything. You have your, of course, your elevator panel. I think this is a battery access. We don't have those in quite yet. I think we'll get those with engineering. And then if we move forward, we do see what is the big difference between the Base Guardian and the Guardian MX, which is just a much larger engineering area and no habitation. So this ship comes with a additional size 2 shield generator, so it has 2 size 2 shield generators, and we go from, I believe the Base Guardian has 2 size 1 power plants. We go to a single size 2 power plant on the Guardian MX, so of course that's a lot bigger of a component, so it just takes up more space. I will say there is some kind of just dead space, like here, here, here. So, you know, maybe if they squeeze things around a little bit more, like maybe even if they tried putting some components in the ceiling, like some smaller things, maybe they could have, you know, squeezed everything into this area still and been able to keep that habitation section. But, you know, there's got to be some trade-offs with that extra firepower, so I understand that. And then if we move forward to this extra little area, this is another place where I think this little partition area, this little hallway between the engineering and your pilot seat, there's some space here. They probably could have put a component or two. So, you know, another question mark there. Again, I think it'll work fine for what it is, but a little bit, just I'm slightly disappointed that it doesn't have the bed. I think if it had the bed and the habitation section still, this would sell really, really, really well. I think it already has sold pretty well, but I think it'd be even better. Okay, so now here we are in the cockpit. So when you first get in, it should show kind of all dark like this, because again, when you have the armor deployed, it's some screens there's cameras on the outside and screens that, you know, show you the view. So if we fire it up, we get this nice little startup animation, which looks really, really cool. And then there you go. Now you can see out, and now we can take a look around the cockpit. So the MFDs are different. The layout is different in the MX compared to the regular Guardian. It has been noted that these are going to be changed as well in the Base Guardian and the Guardian QI. This gives a lot better visibility, because in the Base Guardian, the MFDs are like right above your head. It does cause some visibility problems sometimes, so I think this is a much better option, and the styling is also really, really nice on them. So looking forward to when we get that changed over. If we take a look at our MFDs itself, we can see, of course, we have our power plant output. There is a battery indicator, which I haven't seen in a lot of other ships. So, you know, another hint, we might be getting engineering sooner than we think. I really hope we do. I'm really looking forward to it. And then if we play around with our shield, or our power management here, I'm not sure why one cooler has 3 pips and the other has 4. But let's turn that one off. Give ourselves some extra power. We can increase our shields. If we increase full weapon capacitor, what do we get? So it looks like you actually don't have guns when you're in your landed configuration. I haven't lifted the ship off yet, but I'm in SCM gun, and it apparently doesn't let me fire the guns like this, so I guess you have to lift off and deploy your landing gear, or raise them to make sure you can fire the guns. So we'll try that in a second here. And then if we try the retract armor, you see some of those little panels will raise up. We look from the front, we can see not all of the canopy goes up, but kind of the central part that's straight in front of you does. You still have the screens, effectively, that are giving you that view from the inside, from the sides of the canopy. So now let's go ahead and fire it up, and we'll take it out, fly it around for a minute, go do a little bit of combat testing, and then we'll probably compare it to a couple of other heavy fighters. Now, the interesting thing on the Guardian is it does have way more engine pips than, like, any other heavy fighter. I think it's like, let's see, I think it has 10. And there's no way for me to be able to fill all those. Even if I put a grade A military drive in here, I'm pretty sure that would only give me 21 power pips, so I could only give it one more pip here, and that does actually have a pretty significant impact on your boost maneuverability, how much your boost does. So we will be a little bit hampered in that department. So when we're testing maneuverability, we'll probably shift some power over so we can get full engine power just to see kind of the full potential of it. But then, of course, once we're in combat, we're going to adjust it so we are in the best scenario to fight other ships. So let's go ahead and lift off. Okay, so then let's deploy retractor landing gear. The wings will extend a little bit. And looks like the guns do slide out some. And then we do get the guns show up. We can use them. So it looks like on a full capacitor charge with 4 laser repeaters, we get 62 shots. So not quite the full capacity that they should be able to have. But, of course, that could be adjusted at some point. But now we're going to go ahead. We'll fly up to... we'll fly around Lorville for a few minutes and see how it feels in atmosphere. Then we'll go up to space, do a little bit of space combat, probably go do like a patrol mission or something, and see how this does. What I will say is it immediately feels more maneuverable than my F8. That much is apparent, which, you know, it kind of makes sense. You got these big giant engines on the back, and Mirai is known for being more of a performance manufacturer. So it makes sense that it has that edge in maneuverability. I think the F8 does have an edge in its durability, though. It's a little bit more tanky than this is, although this does have an advantage over the base Guardian in its hit points. So some interesting little notes there. Yeah, this seems to turn relatively well, even when boosted. We don't have full engine power up right now, but it seems to be pretty responsive for a heavy fighter. With, again, you have size 4 weapons on this, so you can do a lot of damage pretty quickly if you get all those on target. So then if we adjust our weapons a little bit, we have full engine power, so that we should, again, when you have more power to your engines, it enables your boost to be more effective, to get up to that full boost value that it's capable of. So, again, it makes, you know, a little bit of an impact. So yeah, I am definitely not disappointed with the overall maneuverability of this ship. I think for a heavy fighter, this feels pretty good. It's to me, it feels, you know, it's a little bit, of course, a little bit more sluggish than things like the Hornet, but not like a ton, at least, you know, from what I feel initially. So really, I'm really liking how it flies so far. Let's head up to space. We'll do a little bit up there and do a little bit of a combat mission with it. Alright, so we're going to test the space flight and combat in one of the orange levels patrol missions. So we'll go ahead, we'll just go through it, and then if we get to any combat, I'll throw that up here and we can see how it does in that. Okay, so it looks like we have an enemy Hornet and a Reliant, and there's an Ace Pilot. I think that might be the Hornet. So let's go after the Ace Pilot. Of course, now I need to readjust my power layout because we can't fully power everything, unfortunately. Let's try gimbaling. The gimbals do seem like a pretty good range of motion on them. And I do like the sounds. Oh, I accidentally hard deffed it. Darn it. That gets rid of the Ace Pilot. Darn it. Yeah, it seems pretty powerful. I think it's really good with the default rhinos. You know, if you really wanted to go after bigger targets, you could probably throw some attritions on there and you do a lot of damage. But yeah, I mean, this is basically just kind of a mobile hammerhead turret. Of course, you don't have as many shots as the hammerhead turret gets, but you're a lot more maneuverable. You can get around quick and do quite a bit of damage. And I really like the gimbals. Actually are really, really nice on this. Like some ships like the F8, the gimbal range is not really very useful at all. Some of the guns are more useful than others, but it's really not very good for just overall. So, and the shields seem to be holding up fine, so that the size 2 shield, the extra size 2 shield definitely seems to give a good edge in protection and durability. So I'm really, really liking this. This contract's probably going to bug out because I accidentally hard deathed the ace pilot. But yeah, there's a little bit of a combat test. It feels really, really good. It's maneuverable enough to keep up, at least in these PvE engagements with the smaller ships, especially if you use the gimbal mode. And yeah, I'm really, really liking it so far. This might be something I pick up with store credit, at least, you know, have for a few months until it is available in game. But I'm really liking it. So let's go ahead and now I'm going to go just grab, do a little bit of a comparison. I'll grab my F8 and we'll just do a little bit of a additional test using that. Alright, so now we'll go try out the F8. I do have all laser repeaters on here, just the same as on the Guardian. These are size 2s and size 3s. So let's go ahead and go try this out and see how good this does. And it is easier in the F8. You do have a few more weapon pips. You have six weapon pips instead of 4 in the base Guardian, but you don't have as many engine pips. So I am able to more or less fill out more things. I also don't have a grade A power plant in here right now, so that would give me one more pip I could put to engine. So yeah, you do get a little bit better power management with the F8, and I think, again, it also does have a slight edge in not maneuverability, durability. It has, I think the main vital hit point area is like 1,000 more hit points, so, you know, it's a little bit more durable. But otherwise, they have the same amount of shields. The overall maneuverability, I believe, is lower on the F8s than the Guardian. And as you might be able to see, if we just fly around here for a second, you can immediately see that at least it feels to me, and you might be able to see it, the F8 feels a lot more sluggish. In atmosphere, I think it changes a little bit in space, but not drastically. So this ship just, for whatever reason, CAG keeps nerfing it. It's, I don't know, a little bit disappointing sometimes, because I think, I don't know. I love the F8 to be better than it is, basically. It is pretty good still for PvE, as we'll probably see in a minute here. But yeah, it is a little bit more sluggish. So now let's go ahead, let's go try it out in some combat. Okay, so it looks like there's some areas to search, but we do have an ace pilot, so let's go after him first, since that will be a little bit of combat we can do, and we'll see if we get a little bit more after that. Now again, as you might be able to see, the F8 is just slower. It's just slower at getting on target. If I switch to gimbals, you can see the gimbals just do not move nearly as well as on the Guardian. They don't have nearly the same range of motion, especially upwards. Down, it's a little bit better, and to the sides, it's okay. But yeah, I think the Guardian MX definitely has the edge in terms of its gimbal performance, which, for something that, you know, when it doesn't move as well, having that extra wiggle room definitely helps. So that's, you know, just a little bit of an issue that I think just how the guns are laid out on the F8, it kind of just has that. It's kind of just how it goes down. So, and I appear to have destroyed the ship again, but it looks like the pilot may have survived. Please. Yes, okay. I'm going to grab this helmet and then we'll see if we can find a few other ships to fight. Okay, so it looks like we do have some other targets, and we have another ace pilot. Wow. I am apparently getting really lucky with these. I do not usually see the ace pilots very often, so I guess I should film more videos of doing this, and then maybe I'll get some more of them. As you can probably see, it's just hard to keep up with some of these smaller targets, even in PvE, where they don't even move as much, as crazy as some PvP targets you might come across. So if you can get the guns on it for long enough, it'll, you know, the F8 will smack them, but it definitely, I think the Guardian you would have a much easier time getting the guns on target and keeping them on target, especially with the extra gimbal range. So I think they both have their strong points. Again, they're both pretty durable. So it kind of comes down to whatever your preference is. Do you want a little bit more total guns, but a little bit less maneuverability, or a little bit more maneuverability, fewer guns? But I don't know. There's some trade-offs. Of course, the other thing is the availability of it in the first place. Like the F8's not regularly available, and the Guardian is, you know, just gone flight ready. So I think they compare pretty well. So if you're looking for a really high DPS, high firepower, heavy fighter, I think the Guardian MX would work really well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with it more, and I really might pick it up with store credit and keep it around for a while until we can get it in game. But that's going to do it for this first look, taking a look at the new Mirai Guardian MX. I will have to do some more testing and stuff like that, and then I'll probably do an official review at some point pretty soon. But that's going to do it. Again, let me know your thoughts on the ship in the comments. Have you tried it out? Do you think you're going to pick it up? What do you think could be good, you know, changed about it? Do you think they should change the landing gear? Any thoughts you have, I'd love to hear that in the comments. Once again, don't forget to leave a comment on the video. I have linked to the description for that giveaway opportunity that I'll be running. And that's going to do it. So until next time, I will see you in the verse.